Daily digital news. Bits and bytes connect our world.
Your quick roundup of everything that is happening in the tech world in the UAE and around the world. You know, on Future Talk, we typically discuss positive robotic stories, but we cannot deny that robots can definitely pose some form of harm on employees at times, especially if they are not controlled correctly. And I think this is exactly what is happening with Walmart, because they are planning to end their contracts with the robotic company that they were collaborating with. And hear this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is 2020, and they are planning to opt for human workers instead. Are we giving up on robots already?
Now, we do know what Walmart is. Walmart is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, supermarket and trading store in the United States and Canada, North America in general. Now, think about Walmart as like Carrefour or Sharjah Co-op Society right here in the UAE and in Sharjah. Now, Walmart has cut ties with Bosa Nova Robotics, which did make robots that scan shelves for inventory. And the retailer has come up with other simple and cost-effective ways to actually manage the products on its shelves with its human workers rather than the robots themselves. But the company is still pushing forward with other tech experimentation and did recently pick 4 stores that will act as an e-commerce laboratory. Now, why did Walmart do this? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. Now, we have seen that some Walmart stores have robots roaming around the sales floor and even help check if shelves were stocked. But the big box retailer has now decided to end all of its contracts with the robotics company behind those machines after finding out that people can do about the same work even for cheaper.
Yes, indeed. Now, this is the whole aim behind it. You know, why are they ending their contract to the robotics company? Because we've always known that humans can do the same exact job. But the whole aim behind it was to typically give humans more creative jobs, more jobs that are based on problem solving. Now, the report that was coming right out of Walmart revealing that they're planning to cut ties with the robotics company did say that they have definitely seen a significant growth during the coronavirus pandemic of people buying more from them. So their online sales as nearly doubled as well. So it wasn't just in-store, but also their e-commerce platform was booming. As consumers were shipping their purchases to their homes, this created a new challenge for their retailer, since they did have to restock the shelves pretty quickly, and they had to make sure that they always had the right inventory on hand. And we've seen that, especially right before a lockdown. People were rushing to the shelves, buying possibly everything on those shelves just to make sure that they are well equipped if a disaster were to happen. But this is definitely causing them to depend more on workers, since sometimes robots can take a little bit more time to recalculate, you know, that this inventory is empty, I have to refill it, and that reaction time that may not be as fast as a human being would causes a lot of issues.
Now, in reaction to what happened with Walmart cutting off that contract with Bosa Nova actually had to lay off around 50% of its staff just because that one contract from Walmart was terminated, and it did end. Now, let us know your guys' thoughts. 4215 Salat. Whether or not should we have just robots
helping out in convenience stores
and doing inventory checks and seeing if the stocks are shelved. Now, let's go and talk about, ladies and gentlemen, Tesla. Now, Tesla Autopilot could prevent 80% of accidents. Now, a German researcher did say that. Now, although self-driving technology is controversial, and Omni and I have had kind of a little bit debate whether or not it is ethically or morally correct about how they prioritize who to hit in a case of an accident. But Tesla's Autopilot has been shown to be involved in less accidents than vehicles without the technology. Now, this option does come standard in all Tesla vehicles to keep the car in its lane and change speed to keep up with traffic, even though the driver does pay attention with the hand on the wheel.
Yes, indeed. Now, what's interesting about this is we've definitely been seeing two ends of the spectrum. Walmart trying to get rid of all robotics in its convenience stores, while Tesla is trying to get us to trust their very own AI. I personally don't feel like self-driving cars are still ethically equipped to be on our roads, but it's definitely coming and it's definitely on the way. The option comes, as you mentioned, Hani, the autopilot option, it comes standard on all Tesla vehicles. But in Europe, there are a lot of regulations that have limited the autopilot abilities. And we've seen that also right here in the UAE. Lots of trials and tests have to take place before an autonomous vehicle is allowed to be on the roads. And luckily in Sharjah, we've seen the first autonomous shuttle actually become deployed in the university city of Sharjah to help students move from their classes back to their dorms and throughout the different buildings of the university. But these vehicles that are currently being sold in Europe were unable to handle many situations that the software in the US, the autopilot software in the US, was able to handle.
Now, we do know in the U.S. the streets in America are much wider and bigger than in comparison to Europe. Now, we do know the U.S. has huge terrain, and thus Tesla's autopilot does work a little bit better, especially in inner city and outer city. But with Europe in general, we do know that the streets are a little bit smaller, so that could be why Tesla's autopilot does not perform as great as it's expected to be in comparison with the United States. Now, let's know your guys' thoughts. 4215 would you trust Tesla's autopilot even with this 80% of accidents that it could prevent? 4215 or on Instagram at Pulse95 Radio. We're going to be taking a short break, ladies and gentlemen. But when we come back, we're talking about how to set up sound recognition alerts in iOS 14.
How do you tech? How do you tech?
We've been talking about hidden features present in the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro, iPhone 12 Pro Max. We've talked about how they can help those who are blind or suffer from visual disabilities be able to maneuver throughout their environment with ease by simply relying on their smartphone. But today's feature is about how you can enable the sound recognition feature in the iOS 14 so that you can be alerted to noises that you may not be able to hear. This comes in very handy for those who are deaf or struggle with hearing disabilities, but it could also serve us in our day-to-day life.
Yes, now as part of Apple's push to make the iPhone an extremely useful device in terms of accessibility, it has actually included a feature to help alert the deaf and hard of hearing to important situations that they might normally miss out on. Now, for example, we're going to be talking about door knocking or some form of an alarm or siren. Now, while normally there could be mechanisms in place to actually provide an alert to a person in a different way, such as visual indicators like a strobe light, they are not necessarily possible to be used. For example, there isn't any way for a deaf person to know if a dog is barking nearby without either social context clues or actually seeing the dog. Now, we do know that Apple has always been trying to push for that accessibility type of thing, even back when, I don't know if you had this feature on Omnia, where if someone called you, your flashlight would turn on.
No,
it
but
would
I've
blink.
seen it with people.
I used to have it. I used to like it a lot. The flashlight would be on.
Yeah.
It would be great Omnia at night when I lost my phone. It would turn on. Actually, I do think about putting it back on again. I turned it off like 2 years ago, but it was very good, nice feature. But now we're seeing the type of notifications. You would get the notification as if you're getting a message or a text.
Yes, indeed. And this is exactly what's going to be happening with the sound. So if a door knocks, instead, if you can't possibly hear it, if you have hearing disabilities, or even if you're a busy mom or a busy person, your house is pretty large and you didn't necessarily hear the door knocking, you will get a notification on your device, on your phone, that there is a door knock. A sound has been recognized that may be a door knock. And this way, any person who is hard of hearing can go ahead and check out if there is a sound or a noise coming out of their laptops. Now, the implementation in iOS 14 has definitely covered many general areas where alerts would be useful, such as fire alarms, smoke alarms, sirens, any form of emergency situation. But it's not just for those who are hard of hearing, as we've mentioned, and if you want to know how to turn it on, we will give you a quick guide. Just grab your iOS 14 device, whether it was your where you downloaded it, whether it was your iPhone or even your iPad, and we will tell you exactly how you can go ahead and turn it on just through your settings tabs.
Yes, open the settings tab and then tap accessibility. Tap sound recognition. Then next to it, you're going to have to tap the toggle next to sound recognition. Now, it is simple as that. Now, how to set sounds for sound recognition to detect, you're going to tap and open the settings app again, accessibility, sound recognition, and ensure it is activated. Tap sounds, tap the toggle next to the sound you want to detect. Now, if it is the first sound enabled, tap turn on sound recognition in the dialog box. Pretty simple and easy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this comes very important with people who also have Apple Watches, because the
Yes.
Apple Watch can indicate you by vibrating. So if a dog is barking, or if a cat is making a noise, or whatsoever a siren is going off, you can have that notification on your Apple device as well, which will vibrate. So all you have to do is check your watch, and there you go.
Yes, indeed. But we do have some pretty bad news for all those who want to turn on this feature, because turning on sound recognition will mean that you cannot use Siri anymore. I know. It's a pretty tough exchange to give, but using Hey Siri, the verbal prompt, will actually not work if you have the sound recognition feature on, because you can't ask questions to Siri without triggering the digital assistant that is also based on sound. So the dialog box that tends to appear when you activate your first sound in sound recognition will remind you with this change as well. Hey Siri will automatically reactivate once you turn off sound recognition. So in case you changed your mind, you can always go back and do that.
Yes, but I always have that feature off, Hey Siri, because I don't like it.
No way.
Yeah, I'll just hard press my lock button until Siri prompt comes up, and I'll ask whatever. Or if on my watch. Yeah, I don't like it because sometimes it would give a false alarm per se, and it will start saying, I don't know what it says.
She
sometimes.
goes like, what did she? Yes, just yes.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
Yes, I couldn't hear you.
So sometimes it would be awkward when I'm alone in my bed, and all of a sudden I start hearing things, and I go crazy. And sometimes it would go off on air. Omnia would be on air, and Siri would start talking. So we gotta make Siri a little bit quiet. Only speak when you are spoken to.
Quite literally. I love using Hey Siri to set up my alarms. Call me lazy, but it's just one of the best parts about it, especially if you're the type who's going to be like, Hey Siri, wake me up in 7 hours. Instead of doing the math, she'll do the math for you. But let us know, would you use the sound recognition feature on iOS 14, and why would you use it? So is there any specific noise that you'd want to be alerted by, whether it was knocking on a door or even your pets? Your dog barking, your cat meowing, and needing you at any point in time. Sharing your thoughts. Our text lines are open, 4215 do it a lot, or slide into our DMs at Pulse95 Radio on Instagram. Coming up on Future Talk, we still have lots and lots to share with you, because we're going to be talking about walking buildings. And can you just guess, where is this walking building present in?
And where is it going, ladies and gentlemen? 4215, just do it. We're taking a short break, but when we come back, we got all that in store for you.
Check this out. Check this out. Pulse 95.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the show, we've talked about cars that have legs. We've talked about transforming robots. And now we're talking about a 5-story building in Shanghai that walks to a new location. Now, Shanghai residents passing through the city's eastern hub district might have stumbled upon an unusual sight, which was a walking building. Now, ladies and gentlemen, an 85-year-old primary school has been lifted off the ground in its entirety and has been actually relocated using new technology, which was dubbed the walking machine.
Yes, indeed. Now, a lot of us may be wondering, why would we need a building to walk? And especially such an ancient building. Can it even do that without becoming, without falling to the ground and being destroyed? But the whole aim behind this is to try and conserve culture without destroying it. And when you're living in a city where you have the old meeting the new, the past meeting modern monuments and modern buildings, skyscrapers have become a reality in China. And these old buildings have definitely just ruined the entire aesthetic. You can't necessarily have a skyscraper near a school that has been there since I think it was 1985, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been, is it?
It's 85 years old.
Oh, it's 85 years old. Never mind. No, it's since 1935.
Yes.
It's been constructed, yes. So having a school there in the presence of so many skyscrapers surrounding it, it just doesn't look good, and it doesn't serve the function of the school. So you'd want to move it across the country. In past years, China would actually demolish these countries. So they'd be leveled to the ground, but now we can simply move them.
Yes, because it is kind of like a waste of resources to kind of demolish these type of buildings, especially when they're up and functioning. There's not really any harm with them.
Yeah, and lots of heritage is linked to them.
So why not just move these buildings into a different rural area instead of these cities that have big skyscrapers and are more kind of technologically advanced? Now, there was a time-lapse shot by the company, which does show the school inching along one tiny step at a time. And looking at the small video of it, it looks very, very interesting. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time that I personally have seen something like this. Now, before there was something called movable houses. Now, buildings, it is the first time I've seen it, but movable houses I've seen them be on wheels and being taken from one area to another neighborhood to another. And I mean, it just shows how we can save our resources and not kind of demolish a perfectly working building, but instead move it to a different area and keep that area of the city free for a new building to come up.
100%. And at the same time, you're trying to keep history alive. So for those of you who are wondering, how can the building even walk? We will tell you exactly how it does that. So engineers would go ahead and attach about 200 mobile supports under the building. In this case, it was a 5-story building, 5-story school. So they had about 200 mobile supports attached to the bottom of this building. Now, this support basically acts like robotic legs. So they're split into 2 groups, which would alternatively rise up and rise down and go down. So they would basically imitate the way we walk as human beings, our own stride. Sensors that are attached to the building as well will control how the building moves forward so that they can make sure that it's not moving too fast, at a fast pace, so that it would actually damage the building as it walks. It's kind of like giving a building crutches so it can stand up and then walk. But these movements and this walk is very, very slow so that it can make sure that they're not damaging the structure of the building. So over the course of about 18 days, the building was rotated 21 degrees and it moved about 62 meters to its new location. So it wasn't like, it just got up and walked.
Yes, now this actually marks the first time this walking machine method has even been used in Shanghai to relocate a historical building. Now, we do know that there has been decades of destruction in Shanghai. In recent decades, China's rapid modernization has seen many historic buildings being razed to clear land for gleaming skyscrapers and office buildings. Now, when modernization does come and technology does come, we kind of forget about the past, and we've seen in China a lot of historical buildings being demolished to put skyscrapers. So we do need to kind of let our heritage live.
Yes.
Live the history and move these buildings into a dedicated area. And I can see that this can even be used as a museum for future generations.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. It could actually become a way of telling a story, but instead of leveling it to the ground and saying, once upon a time, back in 1935, there was a school here that taught half of the Chinese citizens, you can actually show the students that school. Now, Shanghai in specific, it has a track record of relocating old buildings. This is the first time it's done it for a school, but there are multiple buildings and different warehouses that have been relocated ever since, I think, back in 2013. But more recently, in 2018, they've started to relocate buildings that have a lot of historical value embedded within them. If you could relocate a certain place, move it from one place to another, what would you relocate?
Nothing in mind, actually.
Nothing?
I don't have anything in mind, but I want to talk about how urbanization has actually continued to pose a significant threat to architectural heritage in China. Now, in the capital of China, Beijing, for instance, more than 1,000 acres of its historic alleys and traditional courtyard homes were destroyed between the time period of 1990 and 2010. Now, that's a lot of acres and that's a lot of heritage you can never bring back. So I'm glad that China kind of, you could per se, woke up and said, listen, let's kind of keep the heritage where it is, but move it to a different location, probably make a whole city of an old city, a city of an old city.
Yeah, true. And it would be great for people to get to have a look back on what life used to be once upon a time in China. And there are a few ways to go about moving a building. A lot of countries have been trying to slide them down across rails if they're small enough. Others have used the method of pulling them away or using different vehicles. But this is the first time we've seen an entire building walk on its own over the course of days and months. Let us know your thoughts. I'm pretty sure a lot of you may have seen the movement and the relocation of this primary school building on social media. It's gone viral over the past few days. Let us know your thoughts. Our text lines are open. 4215 do it to Salat or slide into our DMs at Pulse 95 Radio. Coming up, for all those of you who still want to be productive this weekend, we have an application that will help you do that by also encouraging you to do some virtual gardening. What's that all about? Keep Pulse 95 locked. We'll be right back.
Pulse 95.
Apps all around.
What's worth a click and download?
Pulse 95.
What? No. You're very excited, Omnia.
I am very excited.
Very excited. Now, let's talk about productivity, Omnia.
Yes, because I was just going to say, every weekend, I think a lot of people tend to split the weekend into Thursday is like hang out, have fun. Friday is family day for many people. And then Saturday is like self-care to prepare for the upcoming week. So this is where you try and either meal prep, get ahead with schoolwork if you're still in school. If you are a parent, you would start making sure that the kids are on top of their studies. So it's kind of like a get your life together kind of day.
For me, Omnia, it's catching up on all the sleep I lost for 3 days.
That's definitely another one.
And then being re-energized
For the week.
for Sunday, but I don't catch any sleep for Sunday because I was sleeping all day on Saturday. So I think this productivity app could help a lot. Now, it's pretty hard to focus, and there's actually too much going on in life and on social media that sometimes we don't, we lose productivity, we procrastinate, and a lot of this generation in specific, Omnia, there's been talks about how we procrastinate a lot because we're so open to distractions.
Yes.
Oh, Twitter's boring, you go to Instagram. Oh, Instagram's boring, you go to Facebook. There's always an alternative to waste your time on.
And a lot of the times I find myself like, even if I'm just using my phone to like check an email or do something, it's become a reflex. I immediately find my thumb clicking on the Instagram icon. But today we're talking about an app that will make focusing and productivity become a much easier job because you are also building your very own virtual garden. And if you don't focus, and if you do use your phone, you will be killing that tree that you are planting. The name of the app is Flora, Flora. It's completely free, and it's basically a gamified focus app. So it allows you to plant both real and virtual trees as an incentive to help you get off of your phone and to make sure that you don't get back into getting synced into all of those social media applications.
Yes, Omnia. Now, it helps people beat phone addiction and stay present. Now, Omnia, I have mastered switching through apps.
Oh, same.
Do you know what? No, like yesterday.
It's a reflex.
I believe yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, I was like, wow, I'm good at this. I'm good at wasting time. Because you know that swipe up option?
Yeah.
Where you'll swipe up and all your apps will be there? So I would have like Instagram, Facebook, everything like close to each other. Bam, 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 bam. And I'll be everywhere. So if you text me here, I'll reply there. If you reply there, I'll text you there. And I have mastered multitasking on my phone. But in retrospect, I'm wasting a lot of time. And actually, Omnia, what I like about this app is that it does kind of make you build a tree.
Yes.
And we do know that when we see progress, the human mind, when they see progress and they see themselves doing something per se good, they don't want to ruin it.
Exactly.
But for me, I'd ruin it.
Why?
Because I love to ruin good things, Omnia.
It's a living tree.
I ruin good things.
Okay, let me tell you how it works. Maybe it will change your mind a little bit about it. So behind it has a very cute icon that actually looks like a mini tree. But behind this tree is basically a virtual garden filled with focus trees. So every time you create an increment of focus time. So you'll go ahead on the app and you'll choose that for the next 25 minutes, you want to be completely focused on reading this chapter in your book.
I'd probably look at my tree growing, Omnia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't see it. That's the thing.
Are you sure?
No, you can't see it as it grows.
I'd probably watch the seed go into the soil, and then the sun hitting the soil, and then it growing, and then that's 25 minutes of me focusing on the tree growing.
They knew people would actually sit down and stare at the tree, so they didn't do that.
I stare at the wall when I'm studying.
Oh, God. So basically, this app
Have you ever counted the lines on your hand,
We
Omnia?
can't even focus on talking about the app.
Have you ever counted the lines on your hand, Omnia, when you're studying?
I've counted the dots on the wall.
Have you ever
done
looked
everything.
at your thumb, Omnia, trying to focus?
I have. We've done it all. Trust me.
We've done it all.
If you've been a student at any point of your life, I'm sure you have found the ceiling more interesting than what you're reading in the book.
You know, one time, Omnia, I was trying to study.
Okay.
And I stumbled upon, I believe it was, there was the Japanese dynasty, I believe.
And you just
I read the whole
sucked in.
Wikipedia page.
Oh, God. Well, this is exactly why I'm going to be telling you about this
Okay.
app. So what it does is function on the Pomodoro theory. A lot of you might have heard of it, but it basically is focusing for 25 minutes at a time and having a 5-minute break as a reward. And this is exactly how the application functions. It will force you to focus for those 25 minutes because it will block all of your social media apps. So this reflex that you were talking about, Hani, it doesn't work with this app. For the 25 minutes, you cannot use any of your social media applications. And if you do complete the 25 minutes of complete focus, then you will have and you will be rewarded with a tree in your virtual garden. Not only is it a tree in your virtual garden, but the app also collaborates with different organizations, tree planting organizations that can also create a reality out of those virtual trees. After collecting enough points, you will also be given the option to grow a tree in real life in certain areas in Africa and East Asia. So you're getting you're doing something
You're
good,
doing good,
while still
doing something good.
for yourself as well.
Yeah, so it's a win-win situation. But
It has a lot of features.
Omnia, I have a very short attention span, Omnia. That's my problem. I mean,
That's why it's 25 minutes worth of focus, not an
my
hour.
attention span doesn't even go to 5 minutes. But let us know you guys' thoughts. 4215 doors lots or on our Instagram at Pulse95 Radio. Do you have a short attention span? Do you have problem focusing on things that you need to get done? Do you procrastinate a lot? Well, if you do, we got the app for you, which is called Flora. Text us and let us know. But it is Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Future Talk's time to jump in the spaceship and go all the way home.
Yes, indeed. But our shows will be continuing. Coming up is Afternoon Karak from 4 to 5 p.m. And on Saturday, we have lots of shows lined up for you. Saturday Vibes is going to be taking place from 6 to 7 p.m. But before that, Aisha Al-Mazmi, Ahmed Dawood, and Ali Al-Hazami will actually be taking you on a tour. They'll be your eyes at the Sharjah International Book Fair, since they'll be covering the Sharjah International Book Fair from 10 to 11 a.m. They have...
Every day.
Every day.
Until the 14th.
Yes, but the weekend, it's only on Saturdays.
Only on Saturdays. Let us know you guys' thoughts, and please do tune in. And if you do want to go to the Sharjah International Book Fair, all you have to do is sign up at sibf.com. And then we'll see you there.
Yes, indeed. We wish you a beautiful afternoon and a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
If you liked this episode of Future Talk, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.